Ever felt like the harder you try to defend yourself, the guiltier you seem? Like your silence speaks louder than any argument, but in the best way. What if I told you, true justice doesn't need your voice, just your patience? Let's explore the quiet power of stepping back and letting karma finish what words never could. Have you ever noticed this strange truth? The more you try to explain yourself, the more your words get twisted. The louder you fight for truth, justice, or basic respect, the more desperate you seem. Meanwhile, the real wrongdoers, they walk away untouched and unbothered. But what if, the moment you stopped chasing, stopped reacting, stopped defending, that's when something far greater starts working in your favor? Call it karma, call it natural balance, but it's real and it's powerful. Think of a snake biting its own tail. The more it thrashes in pain, the deeper it drives its own fangs. But when it stops, nature steps in. Healing begins. Or imagine, shouting into a mountain, the sound echoes, then eventually comes back. That's karma, what they throw at you. The lies, the manipulation, the chaos, it always returns. Just not immediately. Because while they're busy deceiving, provoking, and trying to pull you into their storm, you have a choice. Fall into the trap, or step back and let the truth echo back on them. When you choose silence, that's when the weight of their actions finally returns. Not to you, to them. Their own energy turns against them. Their lies collapse under their own weight. So, here's the real question. When do you stop explaining and let karma take over? Stay with me, because the final point in this video will flip your entire perspective. Let's begin with the first situation. Number A. When someone lies about you, let's talk about one of the most frustrating things anyone can face. Being lied about. Someone spreads a rumor. Whispers start. People look at you differently. And everything inside you screams to set the record straight, to defend your name, to prove the truth. But here's the brutal truth. Fighting back against a lie often gives it more power. The more you react, the more you feed it. The more you explain, the more people start doubting, even if they believed you before. Why? Because some people don't care what's true. They care about drama, about reaction, about control. The person lying about you doesn't want to uncover the truth. They want to control the narrative. They want to see you emotionally rattled and stuck in a cycle where every attempt to defend yourself becomes proof that the lie might be true. And the moment you engage, you're playing their game on their terms. This is where Stoic wisdom offers a better path. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's the standard you hold yourself to, even when others don't. People may lie, people may slander, but their behavior doesn't define who you are. Your response does. So instead of wasting your breath, your peace, your energy, let time do the talking. Let truth quietly reveal itself. Because lies, they have an expiration date, but truth is timeless. Let me give you a real-life story. A man I know, we'll call him James, was accused of something he never did at work. The rumors spread like wildfire. People whispered behind his back. Some co-workers pulled away. His first instinct, to go around telling everyone his side, to beg for them to believe him, to explain, to fix, to clear his name. But that only made things worse. Instead of reacting, James chose silence. He kept doing his job, stayed professional, and focused on what he could control. No justifications, no arguments. He let his actions speak, and then, a few weeks later, the truth surfaced. The person who had spread the rumor was revealed to have a long history of manipulation. James didn't need to prove anything. He didn't need to fight to be believed, because the truth eventually revealed itself. And here's what mattered most. Since he never got dragged into the drama, his reputation remained untouched, solid, clean. So how do you handle something like this? First, trust in the long game. Lies may spread fast, but truth has staying power. It always finds its way back in time. Second, protect your integrity. When you know who you are, the opinions of those who believe lies become irrelevant. You don't owe explanations to people who are willing to believe the worst. And finally, let karma do what it does best. People who lie about others always reveal themselves through patterns, through repetition, through their own behavior. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to correct every narrative. Life will handle it. At the end of the day, your silence is not weakness, it's strength under control. When someone lies about you, don't stoop to their level. Stay grounded, stay calm, and remember, the truth always comes out. And when it does, you'll still have your dignity. Situation number 2, when someone betrays your trust. Now let's talk about one of life's most painful lessons, betrayal. Whether it's a close friend who turns their back on you, a partner who breaks your trust, or someone you looked up to who lets you down, betrayal cuts deep in a way few things can. Your first instinct, confrontation. You want answers. You want an apology. You want them to understand the pain they've caused. But here's the harsh truth. Words won't change a betrayer's nature. If someone was able to betray you once, it means they already justified it in their own mind. They've convinced themselves that what they did was necessary, forgivable, or even your fault. Trying to explain it to them, they'll twist your words. Trying to make them feel guilty, they'll spin the blame back onto you. That's why walking away in silence is often the loudest response. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Betrayal hurts, yes, but it's also a test, a trial. It pushes you to grow, to build better boundaries, and to see more clearly who deserves a place in your life. The pain you feel, it's not just suffering. It's a lesson in self-respect, in detachment, and in learning to release what was never meant to stay. Let me tell you a real story. A woman I know, let's call her Sarah, had a best friend for over 10 years. They shared everything, secrets, struggles, success. But one day, Sarah discovered that this friend had been talking behind her back. She had exposed private conversations and even sabotaged Sarah's professional opportunities. At first, Sarah was furious. She wanted to confront her, to make her understand how much damage she had done. But instead, Sarah chose silence. She didn't argue. She didn't seek revenge. She didn't even offer a second chance. She simply walked away. No explanations. No dramatic goodbyes. And you know what happened? That friend felt the silence. She was expecting a fight, a meltdown, a scene. Instead, she got indifference. And that silence said everything. So, how do you deal with betrayal? 1. Accept that some people will never be who you thought they were. The pain you feel isn't just from what they did, it's from what you expected. Let go of that expectation. 2. Don't waste your energy trying to explain their wrongdoing to them. They already know, even if they'll never admit it. Point 3. Walk away with dignity. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength, because, at the end of the day, true power is in detachment. A betrayer thrives on reaction, guilt, and second chances. Don't give them any of it. Let your silence be the reminder that you were never the one who lost. You were the one they should have never betrayed. Insults are a tactic, plain and simple. They are designed with one purpose, to provoke you. And the moment you react, whether by arguing back, defending yourself, or showing anger, you've already handed the insulter exactly what they wanted. Control over your emotions. Here's the truth. Responding to insults only gives them more power. When someone insults you, they're not seeking truth or clarity, they're baiting you. They want to see you break. They want confirmation that they've hit a nerve, because to them, your pain equals their victory. But when you refuse to react, when you stay calm, centered, and unmoved, that's when you win, because nothing frustrates an insulter more than being ignored. And this is exactly where Stoic wisdom shows us a better way. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that. The moment you stoop down to their level, you've already lost. If someone is being petty, cruel, or disrespectful, why give them the satisfaction of seeing you fall into their trap? Instead, choose a higher path, one paved with silence, self-control, and dignity. Let me share a real story. A man I know, let's call him David, was attending a corporate event. One of his co-workers, clearly jealous of David's recent promotion, decided to take a cheap shot in front of everyone. Wow. I guess they're handing out promotions to just anyone these days. The room went silent. All eyes turned to David, waiting for a sharp comeback or some public clash. But David simply smiled, looked the man in the eye, and said absolutely nothing. No anger, no defense, just silence. And guess what happened? The co-worker suddenly looked uncomfortable. He was expecting a reaction, maybe a heated exchange, but instead he stood there, awkwardly exposed, while David, he kept his power, calm, unbothered, in control. So, how do you handle insults? First, understand that insults say more about the person delivering them than they do about you. People who go out of their way to hurt others are often projecting their own insecurities. Second, realize that your silence is your strength. By not reacting, you send a message. Your words hold no weight in my world. And finally, carry yourself with confidence. When you respond with calm indifference, the insulter is left powerless. At the end of the day, you can't control what others say, but you can always control how you respond. And sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all, because silence is the ultimate proof that their words don't define you. You define you. She said things like, "I can't believe you'd accuse me of that. I would never hurt anyone." And right on cue, she made sure to cry in front of the right people, the ones most likely to feel sympathy, to spread her version of the story. The result, Rachel, the one telling the truth, ended up looking like the villain at first. Rachel tried to defend herself. She calmly explained the facts, showed proof, and even attempted to have a logical, respectful conversation. But the more she tried, the worse it got. The co-worker thrived on the drama, twisting every single word into evidence that she was being attacked. That's when Rachel did something different. She went completely silent. No more defending. No more explaining. No more reacting. She stepped back and let time do the talking. And slowly but surely, the truth revealed itself. Over time, others began to notice a familiar pattern. The same co-worker kept playing the victim over and over again. What once worked like a charm began to feel predictable. People started to see through the performance, and eventually, her credibility fell apart. So how do you deal with someone who plays the victim? First, don't argue. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you feed their false narrative. Second, stay calm and emotionally detached. Let their own behavior expose them. And finally, trust karma. People who constantly manipulate and twist the truth will always reveal themselves in time. Because at the end of the day, your silence is your power. Let them talk. Let them spin their story. Let them play their game. Because in the end, truth doesn't need your defense. Time will take care of that for you. For Jake, the message couldn't have been clearer. When he stopped reaching out, they disappeared. No follow-ups, no questions, no concern. And that silence was his answer. So, how do you deal with being undervalued, especially by people you gave your time, effort, and loyalty to? First, stop explaining yourself. Your worth is not a debate. It doesn't shrink just because someone chooses not to see it. Think of a diamond, it doesn't lose value just because someone is too blind to recognize its shine. So why waste energy convincing the wrong eyes to see your light? Second, take a step back and observe. The right people, the ones who truly care, won't need constant reminders to appreciate you. You won't need to beg for their respect or attention. If someone only values your presence when you demand it, what does that say about their true intentions? And finally, let time do its quiet work. When you walk away in silence, without drama or explanation, you give others space to notice what they've taken for granted. You create a powerful void, and in that void, they'll either reflect or reveal they never deserved you in the first place. Because here's the truth, you don't need to prove your value to anyone if they couldn't recognize it when you were there. Let them feel the silence when you're gone. Sometimes, the only way people learn to value you is when they no longer have access to you. If you've stayed with the video this far, leave a comment below with a simple "Thank God I learned this," and give it a like if the message resonated. Support truly means the world. It motivates me to keep sharing meaningful lessons like this, and I hope these reflections inspire you just as much as they've helped me. Let's keep growing, keep learning, and keep walking this path together. Those who truly valued you would never have put themselves in a position to lose you in the first place. The truth is, people don't always recognize your worth when you're constantly available, when you show up, give, and stay consistent. But the moment you walk away, when your presence is gone, the silence becomes deafening. That's when regret creeps in. That's when they begin to replay every mistake, every opportunity they had to do better but didn't. And that's why silence is the strongest response. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You don't need to remind them of what they lost. Let them sit with the consequences. Let them feel the absence of what they once had and failed to appreciate. Because when you truly walk away, no anger, no second chances, no maybe someday energy, your absence becomes the message. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That means real strength isn't about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. It's about the discipline to walk away from people who never valued you, and the wisdom to never look back, Because real power isn't in chasing. It's in knowing when to stop giving your energy to people who never deserved it. Let me tell you a story. A woman I know, let's call her Olivia, was in a long-term relationship where she constantly felt unappreciated. She gave everything: her time, her love, her loyalty. But her partner, he took it all for granted. He assumed she'd always be there. Until one day, single quotes to, Olivia didn't scream, she didn't beg, she didn't threaten, she simply walked away. No dramatic exit, no final speech, just silence. At first, her partner thought she was just upset. He assumed she'd come back. But as weeks turned into months, reality sank in. She was really gone. And when he finally reached out, filled with apologies, full of regret, Olivia had already moved on. That's when the weight of loss hit him, when it was too late to undo what had already been done. So, how do you handle someone who regrets losing you? First, don't make it easy for them to come back. If they only appreciated your worth after you were gone, they never truly valued you to begin with. Second, don't explain your absence. Let them sit in the silence and wonder. And finally, remember this: true self-respect is knowing when to walk away and actually staying gone. Sometimes the most powerful lesson you can teach someone is this: once you're gone, you're gone. If someone regrets losing you, let them. Their regret is not your responsibility. Their lesson is not your burden. Walk away, stay silent, and let karma do the rest.